Good evening, welcome. I'm Bill Herman. I'm an assistant professor at Hunter College, CUNY. Thanks. I'm also now running our internship program, and for those of you who are running or part of all these awesome organizations, please see me after the event. I'd love to place interns with you folks. And I see some nodding heads already. That's great. I teach about law and policy a lot, and what I try to get my students to think about is think about this in historic context and think about this in international context. For a really quick recap of an important bit of international context, I urge you all to go online, while you still can, go to the website for the fantastic NPR podcast Planet Money and look up for episode 529 called The Last Mile. And in that episode, The Last Mile, Planet Money talks about how they have common carrier regulation in Britain, and it hadn't been enforced for years and years and years. And then they started enforcing it, and all of a sudden people started getting better internet at lower prices, and that was because regulators stood in and enforced the British equivalent of what would be Title II here. Now, to me, that alone says, great, we should definitely try that here. And when we look at all these international contexts in South Korea and Japan and all throughout Europe, we see much more heavily involved governments, and that's closely related to those folks enjoying much better internet at much cheaper prices and actually having real competition, which is fantastic. The other one is historic. When we look back at the history of long distance, we see that when AT&T was forced to allow competitive long distance providers, starting with MCI and then Sprint, long distance went from very expensive to very cheap, now to the point where it's utterly free, such that every internet site is begging for the chance to give you the free capacity to make online phone calls. So the more we look at this in broader context, broader international context, the more we see that the policies that are as far away from as possible from what the telecoms are telling us to adopt, the more likely people are to be better off with the internet going forward.